name's Chris Baugh, and I'm with the Mars Karting Series. We have Jay Adams from Northern Mississippi with us today. We want to talk with you a little bit about the Mars Series and how Jay got started in racing and what he likes about the Mars Series. Jay, how did you get started in the racing industry?
Well, like a lot of young people, I started racing go-karts. I was about 14 years old. I grew up in West Memphis, so actually before I started racing go-karts, I spent a lot of my Saturday nights with my dad and uncle at Riverside. My uncle had a dirt track car growing up, and that was just kind of our Saturday night home. And as I got a little older, I garnered a lot of interest and had some friends that raced go-karts. So my dad started taking me to the go-kart races, and one thing kind of led to another, and I actually hot lapped a couple of karts, you know, as the opportunity came along, and really took a liking to it. And so when I was about 15, my dad bought us all the equipment we needed to go racing. It was really nice. I had everything brand new. Only problem was I only had one of everything. You know, I didn't have any spares. But you know, back then we, you know, one of the things that, you know, separated us, I guess, from everybody else is, you know, we raced out of the back of pickup trucks and El Caminos. We didn't have trailers. We would race sometimes 3 and 4 times a week. And, you know, we didn't have, my dad would say 2 nickels to scrub together. So we would, we'd burn a hotel room value worth of fuel out of the truck, you know, going back and forth. But we never stopped and spent the night anywhere. We'd drive back to our, we actually had an apartment in Memphis, and the go-kart stuff stayed at my grandparents' house in West Memphis. So depending on where we were coming from, if we got to Memphis first, we would park at our apartment, and my dad and I would flip a coin to see who got to go up and sleep in the bed and who slept in the El Camino with the stuff to make sure it didn't get stolen. That's actually a true story. And anyway, so, but that was kind of my introduction to karting. And, you know, back then, we would actually, there was a little track out towards Millington on 51 at a place called Allied. They would actually set up cones and build a track, and we would race out there on Thursday night. We would tear everything apart, clean the go-kart up, get it ready. We would go to Putt-Putt in Bartlett and run asphalt road course on Saturday morning. And then we would go leave there, go to our apartment, take everything out. One of us would go get cleaned up, the other one would start taking the go-kart apart. We'd set it up for dirt. And then a lot of times we would haul to Lexington, Tennessee and run Gore Speedway up there on Saturday night. And if we felt up to it, Sunday morning we would go back to Putt-Putt, set everything back up for asphalt to practice, because, you know, I wasn't very good, so I needed all the practice I could get. So that's literally, you know, from about 15 to about 18, that was pretty much my weekend.
What years were these where you really started racing?
84, 85 is when I got started. So.
And from karting, you said 15 to what age?
Actually, I ran karts from 15 until 18, and I left, and I actually came to Jonesboro and went to A State, and I came back home after attending Arkansas State, and I still had all my karting stuff, but at that time, karting had kind of tapered off a little bit. There weren't, you know, weekly kart races every week, and at, you know, 20-ish years old, your interests kind of change, and you know, we were more into street racing and full-size cars, or, you know, you had momentary lapse of reason thinking that you could afford to do that at 20 years old with a part-time job. But anyway, we had to, you know, live through that time, and then, you know, about 23 I got married. So I actually took a hiatus from karting for about 17 or 18 years, and I didn't get back into it until 2005 or 6, and started back racing at Atoka, which is just up Highway 14, not far outside of Memphis, and just fell back in love with it all over again. But, you know, when you're out of something for 20 years, it takes you a little while. So we didn't win our first night out. We ran second, but we did win our second night out. So
well, that's great. So obviously we're here to help the Mars Series. We want to get the message out there, help the series grow. So if you could just give us a little information about what you like about the Mars Series, kind of some of the differences you see, some of the other kart racing, what you like about it.
Well, I'll tell you, as we were talking earlier before we started videoing, when I started racing go-karts, you ran slicks on asphalt, you ran groove tires on dirt, and nobody knew anything about tire prep. And you actually went to the track and you had enough time to visit with the guy next to you and get to know him. And, it wasn't 100 miles an hour doing everything, working tires, cleaning tires, prepping tires, like it kind of is today at a lot of places. So a couple of years ago, I was racing Atoka and some other places, and I kind of started hearing about this group of treaded tire guys that popped up over here in Arkansas, and it kind of intrigued me. So on a whim, year before last, we came over here and we brought just our regular clone set up and our slicks, and came over here and brought a knife to a gunfight, and not really, but we did okay. I think we ran third. But had a really, really good time. And the thing I noticed was when we pulled in, there were guys with barbecue grills and people, kids tossing footballs and frisbees. And it was almost like going to the park or, someplace where you go to have fun. And as bad as I hate to say it, that's a lot of what you didn't see at a lot of other karting venues, was people really acting like they enjoyed being there. And, when you don't feel like you have to spend all your time chasing the tires, chasing the setup. The groove tire stuff, I would say, is probably a little more forgiving because of the way the track is set up and prepped. You have multiple grooves, different lines around the track, so you can always find something that kind of works for you. Whereas like with traditional, what I would call now traditional karting, tracks are hard and slick and they get a black groove, and if you get out of the groove, you get freight trained, and if you want to pass somebody, you got to run up and do a bump and run and try to pass them in the corner. And it's just, to me, that's not racing. Racing's about finding a line that works for you and trying to beat the other guy, not root him out of the way. So it's just a lot of fun. And I've had this conversation with guys that are dyed-in-the-wool slick tire racers, and I'm like, man, if you want to have some fun, you got to go over and try a Mars race. You just go and try it. Take your slicks, go, whatever you want to do, but just try it. I promise you, you don't know what you're missing. And of all the racing that we did last year, I think I ran 9 events, and I think my teammates, Joe and Paul, ran probably 14, and 85% of that was all Mars stuff. So that kind of tells you,
Yeah, you guys really had good success in the series too.
Well, they did. We did. We all did okay, but obviously Joe was he was kind of our flagship participant teammate this year. But we all ended up having podium finishes. Some of us had wins, and we just really had a really good time.
Wonderful. Well, we initially came together as old dirt track racers to try to design a rule package that would suit some of the guys that we raced against 20 years ago. Some of their kids now could come in and race with us, and so we really didn't know exactly how the rule package would turn out, but we wanted it to be very cost effective. We didn't want it to be intimidating to a new racer that wanted to come into the sport, so it's nice to hear those things. We definitely want a family atmosphere first and foremost, and want to do our best to try to get the next generation racer coming aboard.
Well, I think the Mars organization has checked all those boxes without a question. One of the things that I would say, and I would tell all the people that may be out there watching, one of the things that was, aside from the racing, aside from the fact that it was fun, one of the things that probably impressed me the most was, I think it was the second or third time I had been there, there was a lot of, for whatever reason, there was a lot of really young drivers at the drivers meeting that night, a lot of new guys. And when the drivers meeting was over, I think it might have been Brandon, he said, okay, I want all you young guys, all you rookies, guys that maybe have never raced before, guys and girls, come go with me. And he took them out and he walked the track and spent, 15 or 20 minutes with them and just kind of talking to them. And I think a lot of times, even as a racer, I don't care if you've been racing 5 minutes or 50 years, sometimes you still get butterflies, or what have you. And I think that having somebody like that just take that extra time help put their mind at ease, calm them down a little bit. It keeps people from making mistakes out of nervousness a lot of times. And, it just helps provide a better atmosphere. And, I think the spirit of competition is there. I think, one of the things that I like is it doesn't matter if you've got a class with 4 or 5 go-karts in there, you got a class with 20 go-karts in it. You come to a Mars race, the racing's going to be really good, it's going to be really competitive, and everybody's actually having fun.
Wonderful. We really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming over and sharing your story with us.
Sure.
And,
Thank you for having me.
Look forward to seeing you at the track this year.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.